Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to My House podcast. And today we are going to tackle one of the most common questions I get from clients. Should I buy a freehold or leasehold property? So it's a debate as old as the property market itself. We always hear people saying, freehold is the best, it can last forever, you can leave it for your kids, and leasehold, not so good, you have lease decay, but at the end of the day, we are going to dissect this properly and see whether what's the difference between the two, and we decide for yourself which one meets your objective better. Okay, let's start with the basics. In Singapore, freehold property means technically you can own the unit forever, but it doesn't expire. For leasehold property, mostly residential, comes with a 99-year-old lease, and once that lease runs out, the land, or rather the unit, will be returned back to the state. So that might sound scary to some people. What happens after 99 years, especially for the HDB nowadays? There are some scares saying that HDB, they are left with a few lesser number of lease, will not be able to sell it off anytime soon. And when it reaches the 0-year mark, the government is going to take it all back. So in theory, yes, but in practice, these do not actually happen for 99 years old anyway. Most people do not own the same home for the full 99 years anyway, and the average holding period is actually only about 5 to 20 years. So the key question is, will my lease expire? And also whether my property will hold its value and will it be easy to sell in the future. So let's talk numbers. Freehold properties usually command about 10 to 20% higher prices compared to the nearby leasehold ones. For example, if a 99-year condo is selling at 1,008 per square feet, the freehold one might be going for about 2,000 per square feet. And that means two things. You are paying more upfront for the freehold title, and your rental yield will definitely be lower as compared to the leasehold property. And on the flip side, leasehold property tend to offer better value and better entry price because you're buying at a cheaper premium compared to the freehold counterpart. And in today's market, most EC and new condos are actually 99 years because the government rarely releases freehold land. So the question becomes, would you rather buy a 99-year condo with better facilities or an older freehold condo with less modern design and a more outdated kind of finishing? So let's look at the appreciation for these two types of properties. Interestingly, data shows that leasehold property often appreciates faster in the first 10 to 20 years. Why? Because buyers buy for the location, they buy for the lifestyle, the facilities, the primary school, and not just the tenure. Meanwhile, for freehold condos, they may appreciate slower because their prices are already higher to begin with. And it may take some time for the surrounding leasehold project to reach a more mature age before these freehold condos start to shine, which means your holding horizon for a freehold property will be much longer. Once a leasehold property starts to hit about 30-40 years old with about 50 to 60 years remaining, the bank will start tightening the loan tenure and buyers will become more cautious. And this is where it starts to affect the prices because the buyers may not be able to take a bigger loan as compared to a newer leasehold project. So in short, leasehold wins in short to mid-term growth, while freehold wins in the long-term preservation of value. So that depends on how long your holding period is. So now let's talk about everyone's favorite dream, en bloc. People often assume that freehold condo have higher en bloc potential, and that's partially true because developers love freehold land because it's easier to redevelop and there's no lease top-up needed. And here's the catch, your freehold condo's price is already high and developers might find it too expensive to buy over to unblock it. On the other hand, some 99-year leasehold condos with good location and low land value often also get unblocked because the developer can actually buy the land at a cheaper price and profit more. So it's not just about the tenure, it's also about the land value, the plot ratio, and the redevelopment potential. So if you're buying for rental income, leasehold usually gives you a better yield because you can enter it at a cheaper price compared to a freehold. And because tenants don't pay any extra rent for whether it's a freehold or a leasehold, it doesn't matter to the tenant. The tenant only care about the location, the convenience, and the condition of the place. So for example, comparing a freehold property that you buy at, let's say, $2 million compared to a leasehold property that you buy at $1.8 million, assuming that both are the same. If you were to rent it out to the tenant, there is no difference whether you're renting a freehold property or a leasehold property, right? In fact, the leasehold property will give you a higher rental yield because your purchase price is lower, whereas the freehold property will give you a lower rental yield because your purchase price is higher. But to the tenant, he will still be expected to pay the same rent. So yield-wise, leasehold property will outperform the freehold property. So which should you choose? So if you are a home upgrader or investor planning to hold for a short term 5 to 10 years, then go for a leasehold property, because that is likely you will get a better capital gains and a higher rental yield. Reason being also that leasehold property tend to have more transactions compared to freehold property, and this transaction volume will translate to pushing the price higher. Freehold owners tend to hold their properties for a longer horizon, and they do not sell their property as often, hence the transaction volume is very low, and that means that the prices will not be pushed up as fast as a leasehold property. However, if you are a long-term holder or you wish to pass this property down to your kids, your next generation, and you do not really care much about what happens in the short term, then go for the freehold property, because that means you can actually own the property forever and actually pass it on to your kids. So it's not about leasehold versus freehold, but more importantly, what's your objective for buying the property? Is it a short term, 5 to 10 years hold, or is it going to be a long term, your own stay, and to pass it down to your kids? Freehold sounds like great on paper, but leasehold property can be just as powerful as a capital appreciation tool. And if not more so, it also depends on your goals. Don't get caught up in the forever myth kind of thinking that freehold is always good, leasehold is always bad. Instead, focus on your investment time horizon, your budget, and also what's your exit plan. Because the truth is, even a 99-year leasehold can make you financially free if you're able to make the right moves. Every time you buy and sell, you make that 200-300k, and at the end of a few flips, you are going to get to your final investment objective. Okay, thanks for tuning in to My Haus podcast, and if you have enjoyed this content, remember to follow and subscribe to my channel. And if you have friends looking for property or looking for property advice, you can also contact me, and I'll see you in the next episode.